Hello. So I'm a little tired right now. I just completed my 30-day fitness. Um, but this is everything you need to know about filing your taxes. When preparing to file your taxes, it's important to make sure that you have all the paperwork you need and understand what form you require. You can choose to file your taxes independently through an online program like I use TurboTax, or you can seek professional assistance. Nothing in life is certain except for death and taxes. That was said by Benjamin Franklin, or depending on who you believe, Mark Twain or Daniel Defoe. One of those. Somebody uttered those words anyway. Accounts differ, but regardless of who said them, the sentiment is absolutely true. So, who gets this money and why? As a citizen, you enjoy certain privileges and services, and you must pay the government for this service it provides. Tax revenue pays for all kinds of things, including the various federal, state, and local programs that benefit you every day. From roads to schools, county trash pickup, to proper weights and measures at the grocery store. Your taxes pay for it all. The federal government, as well as state and local governments, get much of their funding through taxation, which takes many forms. You're probably familiar with sales tax and payroll taxes, but there are others, estate tax, hotel tax, and sin tax, such as cigarettes and alcohol. We won't get into the policy behind taxation. Suffice it to say, imposing taxes can have an effect on the way people and organizations spend or don't spend money. And so legislators can use taxation as a tool for promoting or discourage certain behaviors or industries. Our concerns is more straightforward. How do taxes fit into personal finances? With all the financial variables that factor into your yearly tax filing, your paycheck, your home, your marital status, major purchases, student loans, retirement accounts, filing taxes can get extremely complicated. As with all things, the more research you do on the front end, the better you are. So let's get started. Where do I file? You'll have to file your return with the federal government and the state in which you live. Additionally, you may have local or city taxes that you'll have to pay. So, do I have to pay to file my taxes? No, it's important to realize that you can file your taxes completely free. You do not have to pay for programs for you to do it. In fact, most programs will allow you to compile and file your federal tax return for free. However, they may charge you to compile and file your state return and may do so for the local taxes as well. Be wary of this and know it going in. Best practice, taxes are confusing, and sometimes you're better off paying $30 or so on an average to have the work done for you, and most importantly, have it guaranteed. So, how do I even do my taxes? In the old days, you'd have to go to the post office or your local city hall, pick up a tax form, fill them out by hand. It made for a clunky process, and new tax filers found themselves trying to make sense of the complex add this line to that one while subtracting that one situation. It's still good exercise to look at the tax form you'll use, more on that later, but these days you can do 99% of your taxes online using software. Thankfully, that does the hard work for you. You can view the different software options available to you online. There's also the online option, which, as I said before, I use TurboTax. So, when is this now? Generally, tax returns need to be postmarked by April 15th. This means that the post office where you're sending your returns needs to stamp it as received by the close of business on April 15th. Nowadays, we don't usually mail in our tax returns, so this means that the online program you're using has to mark your return as submitted. Remember, you're doing your taxes for the previous year, not the previous 12 months. Leave January to March of this year out of it. So what should I do to prepare? Great question. First, there are a few things you can do to prepare. First, take stock in your financial life from January 1st until December 31st of last year. What did you do, purchase, sell, or unfortunately lose? Here are some common areas to keep in mind. Did you have a job? How many? Did you purchase a house or did you rent? Purchase a car? Did you contribute to a retirement plan? Do you have a child? All of these things and more can help you complete your tax return. In general, you'll need the income statement that your employer gives you, called your W-2, and any other forms you receive. These can come in a variety of places, including the bank or credit union where you have accounts, the company that holds your student loans, or the financial institution that services your mortgage. A good rule of thumb is that if there is an activity that affected your financial life at some point in the previous year, you're probably going to want to hold that receipt. So, now that you gathered your paperwork, what's next? Well, here are a few of the most common items you might receive in the mail: your W-2, a 1099 DIV, a 1099-G, or 1099 MISC. There are other 1099 forms that the IRS has listed on their website. Your employer and any other company have until January 31st of each year to send you your paperwork for the previous year. Each of these forms, in one way or another, details the amount of money you've brought in and has some information about the types of taxes that you were taking out. This is called withholding. The reason you get a refund each year is simply because you've withheld too much money. So when you fill out your W-4 each year, you tell your employer to withhold a pay a certain percentage of your check to the government. At tax time, you reconcile that percentage with the amount you actually paid, removing all your deductions. And if there's money left, you get a refund. I think my last one was for I didn't work much, so it was only for $1,000, but still, I worked 3 months, got $1,000 back. So, I've got the paperwork. Now what? Now that you've got the paperwork, you've got to put in the numbers someplace. The Form 1040 is what you use to file your tax return. Many people will only need to file Form 1040 and no other schedules. However, if you claim certain deductions or credits or owe additional taxes, you'll need to complete one or more of the Form 1040 schedules. The IRS has a general guide on what schedules you'll need to file based on your circumstances. Always consult a professional if you have any questions about what you should be filing. So, do I need a tax preparer? In truth, only you can make this decision. It's important to remember that taxes are one of the most important things you'll do all year. Not getting them right can sometimes involve fees, fines, and audits. So if you are unsure about preparing your taxes, first ask someone who is experienced with filing returns. Then consider hiring a professional to help you. So credits and deductions. Deductions can lower your taxable income, which is the amount of money you'll have to pay taxes on. Some examples are student loan interest payments, certain medical expenses, charitable donations, adoption or child care costs, or taxes you've already paid. It's important to remember that these deductions lower your taxable income. For example, if your W-2 lists $5,000 in income and you have a deduction of $1,000, your taxes are now calculated on $4,000. This is importantly different than tax credits, and people often get them confused. Tax credits are applied after your taxes are calculated. So let's take that example that I just used. You made $5,000 last year, and after calculating your taxes, you owe $0. But you will not be receiving a refund either. However, if you are eligible for a tax credit, that is refundable, like the earned income credit. Then you will receive a refund for that credit amount. There are a plethora of different tax credits and deductions. Some of the common ones are child tax credit, child independent care tax credit, education credits, adoption credits, earned income tax credits, student loan interest deductions, charitable donation deductions, retirement plan deductions, and hundreds of others. There are deductions and credits for many different things, so the best thing you can do is do your research. Many of the programs that can help you file your taxes also have a wealth of information on deductions and credits. Finally, the IRS in your state office will have a comprehensive list of the credits and deductions available to you. When in doubt, always refer to the IRS and state tax guidelines if you have any questions. So hold on a second. I can answer questions and fill out forms, but what does it all mean? The Internal Revenue Service is the body in charge of collecting taxes. They turn your legislation into actionable, and so all these forms are just an attempt by the IRS to collect all the information needed to determine how much you owe in taxes in the most effective and fair manner possible. Let's break it down. First, they determine your taxable income. This is the amount of money on which you owe taxes, and it's not always the same as how much money you earned. In most situations, so I actually have a thing that says taxable income. It's adjusted gross income minus deductions. The IRS also considers your tax bracket. Different people are taxed at different rates based on how much money they make in a taxable year. In short, your tax bracket determines the percentage of your taxable income you owe to the government in taxes. So the last step on the form you file will be to apply this rate to your taxable income, and therefore you have it. So what about the 8-word audits? They happen, not frequently, but they do happen. The vast majority of Americans will never face an audit. In fact, less than 1% of people filing returns receive an audit notice. Still, audits do happen. The IRS does not share their criteria for selecting who gets audits, but we do know a few things about the process. Those with higher incomes get audited more frequently. Those who take large deductions and credits are more likely to get audited. Those who take many deductions and credits are more likely to get audited, and those who have a sudden increase or decrease in income or expenses are more likely to get audited. The first thing you should do is prepare your taxes properly and carefully in the first place. But if you do get an audit, stay calm and gather all your paperwork asked for. Respond in a timely manner. More often than not, you'll just be fine. Or you made a slight error. Correcting the error and paying the small fine will be the end of the whole audit ordeal. So to summarize, it's confusing, we know. But with a little bit of research beforehand, you can get your taxes done and put yourself in a greater financial position for the future. So 1, gather all your paperwork related to your taxes, including anything from your employer or other businesses like your bank. 2, decide if you'd like to use an online program or if you think you need a professional assistance. 3, fill out your Form 1040 and submit. Filing your taxes is important because it pays for the things that you use every day. It's never been easier to complete them and complete them right. As with all things, the more research you do in the beginning, the more accurate you'll be throughout.